Now, think about who these people are, the white working class. This is not just any old demographic group. This is a group that once upon a time was profoundly democratic, right? The needs of this group, the white working class, were what once upon a time made the Democratic Party what it is. This is why the Democratic Party exists. This is why you had a New Deal. This is why Franklin Roosevelt was elected president 4 times in a row. Folks, what the hell happened? What in the world is going on? Look, 10 years ago I wrote about this, well, 12 years ago now. I wrote about this phenomenon and what it looked like in my home state of Kansas and what motivated these voters, what motivated blue-collar people to support conservative candidates. But this time around, this year, I looked at the other side of the coin. Listen up, liberal. And what makes all of this stuff possible, what makes this kind of crazy, upside-down situation that we're in possible, is that the Democratic Party isn't what I just described. It isn't the party that elected Franklin Roosevelt 4 times in a row. The Democrats are not who we think they are any longer, okay? This is not a party of working people. This is a party of professionals, okay? There's lots of different elements to the Democratic constituency, but the group that comes first, the group that always comes first in their party, in the party's decision-making and that sort of thing, is affluent, white-collar professionals, okay? The party is dominated by high-achieving white-collar types. And by the way, I'm not making this up or being clever with the text or reading between the lines. They say this openly all the time back in Washington, D.C. The entire culture of liberalism is dominated by the concerns and the needs of the professional class, right? Their taste in food, their vacation habits, their idea of the direction that the world is going in and that the world ought to be going in. And more importantly, this is, there's a long-term transition how the Democratic Party changed from being the party of Roosevelt or Harry Truman or Lyndon Johnson or whatever to being who it is today. There's a long-term, this is something that took a long time to happen. But what the result is that today the kind of liberalism that we see in Washington that we get from the Democratic Party is a liberalism of the rich. What do I mean by that? I mean, it's not a coincidence that there's just a few billionaires here and there who happen to be very liberal and who fund liberal causes. It's that liberalism itself is distinctly concerned with the policy preferences of a certain class of Americans, a certain segment of the wealthy, okay? Not the 1% per se, but the top 10% or so of the population. That's the stratum of people who make up the professional class. That's the people who have done very, very well in the recovery since 2009. So this is a liberalism, a form of liberalism that has constructed a whole theory of, how history is moving, who the winners of history are going to be, and why we need to bow down before them, right? It's like a kind of reverse Marxism in which the winner is not the international proletariat, but, the entrepreneuriat or something like that, right? The people who, out in Silicon Valley who are so innovative and coming up with all of these awesome new companies, right? Like the people behind Uber. By the way, at the Democratic Convention, this is, they're up there giving their salutes to working people on the stage, and then when you're done, you go out and you take an Uber back to your hotel because the Democratic Party has struck a special deal with Uber to move its delegates back and forth from the convention center to the hotel. So this is a liberalism that does endless favors for the well-educated and for the particular industries that professionals happen to work in. And the industry, of course, here we are in New York. You look out the window and you can see the main industry, of course, I'm talking about, which is Wall Street, investment banking. I mean, and the Democrats are in love with Wall Street. And this is not because they have, or not only because, I should say, that they've been bribed by campaign contributions. Their passion for Wall Street, their love of Wall Street is a matter of idealism, okay? They like what they see Wall Street doing. They think that this is an industry that is doing good in the world, right? Of course they didn't prosecute the leaders of Wall Street for their role in, selling trashy securities to their clients and stuff like that in the last 10 years. Of course they didn't prosecute these guys. These guys are, they're very understanding towards these people. These are their peers. These are their classmates. They look at them and they say, these are fine, upstanding, good professional people who happen to do one wrong thing. These are men of taste and goodwill. Okay? They look at Big Pharma and they see exactly the same thing. And you look at, these are the trade deals that the Democrats are negotiating, Trans-Pacific Partnership or something like that. This is not a free trade deal. Among other things, it's protectionist towards Big Pharma. It extends their patents. Ralph Nader, I'm sure you can tell us all about this. Why do they do this? Why do they do these incredible favors for certain industries like this? Again, because this is their people. This is the creative class, folks. This is the people that they believe are the winners of history. This is their peers, their classmates, their friends. It's the group that the leaders of the Democratic Party are drawn from, right? These are their colleagues, people that you protect, people that you honor. But then they look at workers, the members of the working class, and they see people who are losing because they deserve to lose, okay? These are people who are losing because they didn't go to college. Or maybe they did go to college, but they didn't study the right subject, right? They didn't study a STEM subject like everyone's telling you should. Or maybe they work in industries that everyone in D.C. knows has to die, right? These are industries that don't really deserve to live. There's nothing about working people that draws the respect of the liberal class any longer. So they see every economic problem as really an educational problem in disguise. Everything can be solved with more education, right? Because education is what worked for them personally. So the last thing I want to say, we talk about inequality. Inequality is, as President Obama has said, the defining issue of our time. This really is the great overarching concern that's going to affect all of our lives. And why does it get worse when you have not just Democrats in the White House, but a man who we're told is the most liberal possible Democrat that we will ever see in our lifetimes, and inequality gets worse and worse and worse? Why is that? Because at the end of the day, the professional class believes in inequality, right? Their life's officer corps, of course they believe in it. Their entire, all of their privilege is founded on status and on their higher status.